Welcome to a new daily top AskReddit video. Today's topic.
Guys over 40, how do you feel when a friend dates a much younger girl, 24 or less? Endless jokes about him being Leonardo DiCaprio. Jerry Seinfeld takes the cake for this. Hugh Hefner really pushed it. Don't forget Ted Nugent married a teenager he had emancipated from her parents when he was in his 30s. He should never be left out when talking about creepy celebrity perverts. Jerry with a 17-year-old in the 90s is almost as wild as all the ones from 60s, 70s with their 14 to 15-year-old girlfriends. I have a friend, 46, dating a 26 years old. Close enough in comparison. Being honest, it makes for an awkward dinner date. She's a nice girl, don't get me wrong, but she has absolutely nothing in common with us. Similar with me, I have a 42-year-old friend dating a 24-year-old and we don't have anything to talk to each other about when we're out as a group. Our pop culture references tend to end when we were in our 20s, but she was barely born, so wouldn't appreciate anything from American Pie, Old South Park, etc. They've been together a couple of years and I don't see anything other than genuine affection between them. There isn't a big pay difference between them, but I'm not sure I could spend much time with someone that age. I'm 43, my girlfriend is 36, and even with that little gap, pop culture references that I'll make pass her by unnoticed often. Some say he's robbing the cradle, but I say she's robbing the grave. Give me back my floppy face. Have a friend who I don't see a lot now because he moved to another country. This is a while ago, but he was 41 and met a girl online who really liked him, who was 24, or maybe 23, I don't remember. This guy was a bit of a loner, and had never had a girlfriend. I think she was the first girl who told him that she loves him. I'm not going to be the one to judge that. For some people it doesn't work, for others it does. It's still adults meeting adults. I say let them. But no, personally I did not feel that I had a lot in common with her, but on the other hand, it was not I who was going to date her. One girl I went to school with started dating a 32-year-old when she was around 19. Everyone sure kept an eye on that initially, but it just worked out. Both were at a similar stage in life, her starting university and him starting a new apprenticeship after years in our armed forces, not American by the way, so in terms of power dynamics, both were equal, it mostly was her who was in charge. They've been married for over a decade now, 3 kids, happy, mastered all the weathers of their life together well. He still tends to ask her for permission on things. On the other hand, I've seen same-aged couples fail because those power dynamics were just too big, both in terms of personality but also money. Well, this took a turn I wasn't expecting, pleasantly surprised. How dare you come here and shove your acceptance of your friend's preferences and overall common sense in our faces. It's only happened twice, and both times the relationship didn't last long enough for the guys to get chirped. Mostly it was just a reminder of our own mortality watching these guys tying tequila up with a 22-year-old, and eventually saying, she's not worth it. She's still getting ready to go out when I'm ready to hit the hay. I'm happily married and in my 40s. I play in a band, generally to college-age people in bars to 2 a.m. I cannot imagine trying to date a 21 years old. It takes me a lot longer to recover from gigs than it used to, and the amount of babysitting that would be needed is just, no way. IMO, dating somebody significantly younger is something only somebody with a lot of extra time on their hands can do. Their life is so perfect they no longer have their own problems to solve, so they have the capacity to solve somebody else's. I need a partner that has the life experience to figure their own stuff out. Everything you said is probably valid, but the energy thing hits home. My buddy hooked up with a 21-year-old at age 43. He said his idea of a good time was watching TV in bed. She was absolutely trying to make plans to go out every single night. I didn't think it's a huge deal if you date someone with an age gap. I think it's a huge deal if you only date people with an age gap. Meeting one person and really hitting it off. Normal, constantly cycling through 20-year-olds. You start to look like a massive loser, honestly. Loser isn't even harsh enough of a word, IMO. I think a lot of guys like that would go younger if they could. Agreed. Sometimes you just fall in love and you won't reject it just because the person is in their early 20s or early 40s. But it's different if coincidentally every single person you date is an age gap, seeking out younger people. Questioning my friend's maturity level. Strange is fun, but on the reg I have to ask what a woman 15 plus years younger than my friend has to offer him, her who's experienced a third more life. Sex. The answer is sex. This is really reductive, especially when you consider there's also the sex. Consenting adults can do what they want, but I'm 29 and I already don't see much appeal in most women under 24. Though I have met exceptions, I struggle to relate to anyone younger than that most of the time. And that's at the age I am now, let alone 10 years from now. When I was in my 40s. I used to work with a lot of women fresh out of college, most of them quite beautiful. I found that the number one reason I never felt attracted to any of them is that I held conversations with them. It's even worse when those 20-something-year-olds think you're close to them in age. When I worked at Walmart, almost everyone there thought I was 21 20 seconds, I was 30. Fair to say, the majority of women that were attracted to me were 20-something years old. It always felt weird being like, sorry, but I'm not into younger women. Of course, it's not weird to not be into younger women, but saying it, yeah, awkward. In my late 30s I dated someone 12 years younger than me, and it was weird. The sex was fantastic, but there was obviously a power, maturity imbalance and a dearth of relatable experience that made it unsustainable. The whole situation definitely made a lot of my friends uncomfortable. Edit to add, we both eventually realized this and had a fairly amicable breakup and ended up in better relationships. We still talk occasionally even though now we're on opposite coasts. Similar experience. I was 31 when I dated a 21-year-old for a couple of years. Crossed that off my bucket list, but her lack of maturity, and mine, to a degree, for dating her in the first place, really messed up our relationship. Sex was great, everything else was tiresome. My dad had a 20-year age gap with my mom, 43 and 23. And she was her secretary. Different times. My parents had this same age gap. They were married for over 30 years and everyone thinks I'd be super accepting of large age gap relationships as a result, but it's the complete opposite for me, lol. I dated a guy in his early 30s when I was in my early 20s and it was a similar situation to yours. I wasn't very mature at the time, but either was he, and it only lasted about 6 months before I walked away. Honestly, I don't know how they could stand it. I interact with young 20-somethings on a semi-regular basis and I cringe to think that I was like that at one point. They're both consenting adults, so whatever, but I couldn't fathom dating someone that much younger than me. They're basically kids. 20-year-olds are worse than kids, they are kids who think they are grown up. Source, used to be 20. It even happens as work when someone who is 23 goes off on a soapbox about how something is out of compliance or just shouldn't be. And we all look around like the first time meme. And then watch the hope die right on their face in a public forum. I've actually bottled the death of innocence moment and I've lived for 8,000 years by adding it to my broom hee hee. I don't understand it, to tell you the truth. I'm a guy and I dated a 45-year-old lady when I was 24. It was weird and strange in public and we had nothing in common. It was doomed from the beginning. I have 2 friends who has this age gap. Both dudes married the ladies. And neither of the women look younger than their age or are attractive. Blows my mind. But one has been married 5 years now, so I guess it's working out. Yeah, he's 29 and she's 50. TBH, I've always been most attracted to the vibe middle-aged women give out, and I'm happy to report that having aged into that demographic it still holds. There's something so sexy about a woman who's got her life sorted, is competent and comfortable in her own skin. My brother is 29 and about to marry someone who is 48. Shush is a nice person and fun to hang out with and they seem genuinely happy together, so I've only brought up the age difference once. He told me he didn't mind, so I never said anything else about it. But I find it slightly weird. I'm curious to see how the rest of their life goes. He has mentioned kids more and more as the wedding gets closer, and I don't have the heart to ask him if he realizes that she is probably perimenopause or will be within 5 years and kids are probably not going to happen the standard way, and if they do happen to get lucky the chances of chromosomal defects are astronomical due to her age. Assuming he knows all of that and they do adoption, IVF, surrogacy, her age will be an interesting thing to contend with. If they have a baby today she would be almost 70 before the kid leaves for college. I just don't get the whole thing. Maybe deep down he is marrying for money, maybe it's true love, I have no idea. I try to support him in whatever he wants to do because he seems happy. If they're willing to adopt an older kid, that shortens up the parent-kid gap a bit. We have some friends that adopted, they joked about getting to skip diapers and potty training. And as a bonus, apparently some states offer free in-state college tuition for adopted kids. It's honestly none of my business if they're both adults. I'd wish them happy. For real, as long as there isn't manipulation or abuse, let them live their lives how they want. I find it odd people can't just let others live their lives. The fuck does their lives have anything, at all, to do with yours? Approaching 40, a friend of mine dated a 22-year-old for 2 or 3 months. He was over the moon excited about it. I hadn't seen him that happy since he was 22. I didn't get it. She was goofy and silly and not in a fun or a cute or sexy way at all. It just felt weird. And when it was just the 2 of us talking, it was hard not to talk to her like she was a friend's daughter. How's school? Oh, you graduated already, that's nice. Play any cool games. It didn't last because ultimately he was looking to settle down and get married and have a family, which he'd always been desperate to do, but she kinda manic pixie dream girl, except OMG she was not a dream girl in any way lol. He ended up having to end it BC she started becoming weirdly clingy, and while he's a clingy type too, I guess fire doesn't mix well with fire. He needs to be a monkey on a tree, not a monkey carrying another monkey, yeah. Boy, you nailed this. Buddy was dating somebody like this, and it's exactly the same when she was around. Everybody else treats her like friend's daughter with the exact same questions. How's work? Oh, you got a new car, that's awesome, good job. Like it's the most shallow conversations ever until we can escape, haha.